Welcome to my final Better Call Saul Season 2 episode review video, as this is the Season 2 finale. Before I get into that, though, pretty important, if you weren't caught up to the point where I am at rewatching or watching Better Call Saul, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, you found that you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this video any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And for those of you that are wondering, I have already seen Better Call Saul. In fact, on this channel, when it was airing, I did review videos of Better Call Saul Season 6, which you can see right here. If you want to click on that link, that'll be the playlist of my Better Call Saul Season 6 review videos. Big fan of the show, but when I watched it, I binged it up until I got caught up with the new episodes. So I wanted to take my time with it, only watch an episode or two a week, and let it resonate to see where this show ranks on my all-time favorite shows of all time. I thought about putting it as high as 6, but maybe it's closer to 12 or somewhere in between. So just wanted to rewatch the show to see where it sits, and it's a good show, so that's why I wanted to watch it. So with all that said, this will be Better Call Saul Season 2, Episode 10, the Season 2 finale. The title of this episode is called Klick, and this will be my review, reaction, recap after just finishing watching the episode. We start with a flashback. Jimmy and Chuck are sitting beside their dying mother in the hospital, who has been in a coma for 3 days. While Jimmy leaves to go get food for him and his brother Chuck, their mother wakes up and asks for Jimmy twice before she flatlines. A clearly jealous and angered Chuck refuses to notify Jimmy. When he returns, Jimmy learns of his mother's passing, and when he asked if she had said anything, Chuck lies and said she did not. Now we're not at the flashback anymore, we're at the current time. Since Ernesto, Lance, and the other customers in the store are unsure how to handle Chuck's injury, Jimmy actually rushes into the shop and orders Lance to call an ambulance before turning off the photocopiers and lights. In the hospital, a conscious Chuck overhears an order for an EKG, but his protests are ignored by the staff. After Chuck is put in stable condition, Jimmy and Ernesto go to check on him. Chuck immediately accuses Jimmy of bribing the copy store clerk after figuring out that Jimmy was there, knowing that Jimmy was there moments after he fell. But Ernesto clears Jimmy, claiming that he had called him before they went to the store. So Ernesto actually stood up for Jimmy there. And then outside, Jimmy asks Ernesto why he lied on his behalf, which he answers that Chuck's increasingly vindictive nature was beginning to alarm him, and he didn't want to see his friend get in trouble, because Jimmy's always been really nice to Ernesto, where Chuck probably treats Ernesto like not very good, because Chuck's kind of an asshole. And then meanwhile, Nacho and Arturo have brought the driver of Regalo Helado truck to Hector Salamanca, who is waiting with the cousins, Marco and Leano, and at an abandoned shack in the desert. Neither Nacho or Arturo are aware that Mike has been following them and quietly observing their activity. Back at the hospital, Chuck is given a CAT scan, or CT scan, to check for any brain damage, despite his extreme objections. Jimmy and Kim wait outside for news regarding Chuck, both of them nervous considering the unusually lengthy wait, but not before watching Jimmy's new commercial on the waiting room TV. Dr. Cruz finally appears, saying that Chuck is otherwise healthy but has gone into a self-induced coma as a result of the CT scan. Jimmy, angered by the medical staff's inconsideration for Chuck's health, stays by his bedside and refuses to leave. In the desert, Mike meets up with Lawson, and Tess fires the sniper rifle he examined with him when he was planning on his hit with Tuco Salamanca. Satisfied with the quality of the weapon, he purchases the sniper rifle and ammunition, the latter of which Lawson gives for free. Chuck finally wakes up the next morning, and Jimmy immediately takes him home, the two of them appearing to have reconciled. Upon his leaving, Chuck immediately goes into his garage. Ready to commence on his hit on Hector, Mike arrives at an outcrop outside the shack and takes position. As Hector, Nacho, and the cousins emerge, Dragging the still tied up driver behind them, Mike prepares himself and takes aim. However, Nacho suddenly positions himself between Mike and Hector Salamanca, preventing Mike from taking a clear shot without hitting Nacho's position directly in the line of fire. Unwilling to kill Nacho, Mike is forced to watch as the cousins shoot the driver in the head, waiting for Hector Salamanca to exit the shack where he was last seen entering. Mike then suddenly hears his own car horn blaring in the distance. He finds a branch propped inside his station wagon against the horn and a note on the windshield with a single word: "Don't." At his office, Jimmy receives an urgent call from Howard Hamlin regarding Chuck, prompting him to go see him. To Jimmy's shock and worry, Chuck has lined the walls and ceilings of his living room with metal sheets, claiming that the walls and ceilings did nothing to reflect the electromagnetic rays that led to the deterioration of his mind over time, believing this is what caused him to make the typo in the Mesa Verde documents. To put Chuck's mind at ease, Jimmy admits to falsifying the information in order to revert the partnership to Kim again, chastising him further for his dodged attempts to take what was rightfully hers. Chuck appears shocked at this revelation, and to Jimmy confessing to a felony that Jimmy mentions is made both of them feel better, adding that it's your word against mine. Once Jimmy leaves, Chuck unveils a cassette recorder hidden under another metal sheet on the table and stops the recording, revealing that all his actions were simply a ploy to trick Jimmy into confessing. So that's what ends this episode and this season of Better Call Saul. So Chuck has an interesting plan here, that's for certain. I'm going to give the episode an 8.8 out of 10 as far as the score of the episode. I felt like it was more focused too much on Chuck and Jimmy and Mike, and it was okay. It was good. It just wasn't as amazing as the last episode. And of course, the character of the episode is going to be Chuck, because of what he just did to what he's going to do to Jimmy now. So you've heard everything that I have to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, or El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, which you should be a fan of all three, and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please consider Hulk smashing the like button. Otherwise, I'll send the Salamanca cousins after you, and you know what happens with that. They'll have an axe with them. Share the video with a friend. Put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on this episode of Better Call Saul. What would you rate this episode? And who, if you have to choose, would be your character of the episode? It should be Chuck. Maybe you put Mike, though, or even Nacho. It's possible. But let me know what your thoughts are, either which way. Tell me what your favorite seasons of this show are, because I am going to do a seasons ranked after I'm done reviewing all these episodes. And I never did one before because I didn't remember everything about every season. So just interested to see where everybody thinks or what everybody thinks regarding this show. And then last but certainly not least, this goes without saying, you're watching the video anyway, so don't forget to hit that sub button, subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.